Hey guys, Dave, your Jiu-Jitsu uncle here, and in this video I'm going to share with you my thought process in terms of building CLA games, particularly for foundational movements that are not move specific. So I'm working with Joey here. He's still relatively new, probably 3-4 months into the game, and I'm trying to find ways to help him out in terms of his guard passing confusion as to what to do and being more sensitive as to what's going on from the guard passer's point of view. But at the same time, I also want to work on kind of like a warm-up cardio for myself in terms of leg movement. So here we go. So the general idea that I want to build right now is first distance management. So in this first game, the whole point of the bottom player is just to get their soles of their feet touching me in any way possible and avoid having their feet pointing away from the guard passer, in this case the top person. For the top person, for the passer, quote unquote passer, the only objective is really to beat the sole of the foot or the ankle and to either sandwich or flank the bottom person's leg in between mine. My goal is not to get past the knee line. My goal as a passer, as long as I clear the foot and the ankle and it's trapped in between me, I'm good. Meaning if my lower legs or upper legs, whatever that might be, is between his ankle and his knee, I'm winning this game. So, but technically there's no terminal point. There's no terminal objective in this one. There's no win condition. It's a continuous game for both parties. I think this is a good warm-up to do. So as we switch position, Joey now, the person in black, will be the one trying to get around or in the middle between my legs, however he might want. Also, the goal is the top person has to go left, right, center. It doesn't matter which sequence that might be, as long as they do the task. And all they really need to do is to flank or get through and access the area between my ankle and my knee. For me, my only objective is to turn my hips and find a way to make sure that the soles of my feet are touching my partner. Progressively, we kind of mentioned that even the instep is okay as long as the foot itself is touching the top person. The connection-wise could happen, it could not happen. It doesn't really matter for the context of this game because we're still looking at a far distance engagement sequence at this point where we haven't exactly entered an attacking phase for the guard passer yet. We're still trying to enter somebody's guard and control the legs from being able to flail around. So as we take a quick break here, we're going to progress a little bit further. Previously, we were working in between the ankle and the knee. So anywhere around the shin and calf area, that's a win condition. So in this point, we are starting from that area. We're no longer starting from away from the foot. We already passed the foot, meaning we are already inside that shin area, and the goal now is to clear that shin area and go in between the kneecap and the hip. So we just want to access the kneecap and the hip, however that might be, whether we do high stepping, we do leg drags, or whatever is available, we're going to get into that, okay? So the same thing, the bottom person, however, right now, they must not let the top person do that, obviously. But if they can pull their knee to their chest and get their feet and their sole of your feet back to pointing towards the top player, that's a good objective. That's the task for them. Again, there is no win condition at this point for both parties because we just want to keep the movement going rather than completing the pass, because the objective that I want for this game is really develop the hip mobility as well as the contact awareness of both the top and bottom person. I don't want the objective to be chest to chest because we are going to get there eventually with the next game. So right now, as you can see, even if I'm doing back steps, for example, I need to keep myself in between his ankle and his knee. At no point that, let's say you want to do an X pass, that you're going to retreat. You want to keep the sole of the feet of the guard player past your hip line or knee line as much as possible. So again, Joey is, I'm not so sure if he's aware of how to do high steps and leg pummeling, but the objective of this game is for him to not recede, right? Not go back to the point where my sole of my feet can touch him. So he has to keep the forward pressure. It trains him to develop the balance to keep his pressure driving towards my hamstring as well as my hip. So as you can see right now, he's controlling my top leg. And yeah, he can technically sit down if he wants to, but because, again, we're not playing a terminal game, so I want him to always stand back up and change direction and go in and out, go flank from the outside. Yeah, do pummel steps and those kind of movements. As you can see, it kind of comes naturally, even though it's not a move that he is super familiar with. So now the next game is, we are assuming that we are past that knee line and that quadricep line. We're able to either flank or go in a split squat, however that might be. So the goal right now is to be able to control the hip and pin the hip. So we are trying to avoid the guard player's knee to go back to their chest or their armpit as much as possible. Meaning previously we're trying to prevent the sole of the feet or the ankles from getting past our hip line. Now we are trying to prevent the knee itself from getting past our hip line. So this, obviously, if it's if a split position, we end up in half guard, or in flank position, we might end up in knee cut, or through position, we end up in knee cut, or we end up in a leg drag type of situation. So again, the game is kind of simple. We just, previously we want foot and ankle to not get past our hip line, and then we started to do work on keeping the foot line away from us and not move back to another step. And now we are, once we learn how to get past the knee line, now this goal is trying to stay and control that knee line to be past our hip line, right? So that we can proceed further to eventually we're going to do a chest to chest. But at this point, we're still not going to do chest to chest. We're just going to try to stuff that knee as much as possible, right? So right now, I can try to stuff the top leg or the bottom leg in this regard. So you can see that my leg is above his knee line as Joey retracts that, try to get his guard back, gets a knee shield up. My job is to always try to step over that bottom leg, bottom half guard for leg, his right leg, basically the guard player's right leg. I keep my knee close to his hip to make sure that I own that line. So again, same thing, either go on knee and belly and I'm owning that hip line. As soon as I do, I want to try doing it from the inside. I try to do an over-under, for example. Try to do split squats, knee through, and all that. So we kept this game a little short because it is kind of tiring for Joey. We have been doing it probably around 10 minutes straight. If at this point, this video is a little sped up, like 1.3x sped up, so it won't get too long for you. So as you can see, Joey is trying to keep that, but he is struggling a bit to keep that knee line out unless he goes knee on belly, which is fine. If it's something that he's gravitating more towards, then that's good. And eventually we are discovering certain things that I can see actually whenever he rolls live with his friends, that when he does get to half guard or this hip switch position, he does get swept relatively easily, but that's a base issue. So that's something that we can work on later on, especially once we inject pinning and attacks in the game. But again, right now we're still working on just feel on where the bottom guard player's legs are dangling, where the frames are, for example, and how to keep the constant attack instead of what a lot of beginners usually do is when they start attacking and it doesn't work, they retract completely and they have to restart the whole thing, which is kind of tiring and frustrating. Now when we're done with that, we progress further by having the objective of chest to chest. I did not include chest to back at this point. We're just going chest to chest. It doesn't really matter whether side control, mount, or north south, as long as you pass the hips with the parameters that we developed earlier, which is like passing the sole of the feet, passing the ankle, passing the hips for the top person, and for the bottom person, keeping your legs tucked so that when your sole of your feet gets beaten, you are conscious enough to pull your knee back to your chest as much as possible, establish elbow-knee connection so that you don't give up that pocket between your hips. And like in this case, and as soon as you did, you're going to get past. Again, there's no terminal objective in this. So as soon as I got the pin, I just let go and go back into the other direction and play that game continuously. And now we switch top to bottom. I like to keep these games kind of fast and I guess tiring so that we can finish it up in like 15, 20, 30 minutes at the most to get everything done. And if it's in a class setting, get that 30 minutes done and use the other 30 minutes to start having active roles or positional roles depending on the level. So I'm giving Joey access to the hip to start with, and we keep going. Again, chest to back was not a part of the game, so when my back was exposed, I'm going back to face him, and I'm essentially giving my chest, making him work to get access to my chest. So you can see right now he's able to trap my top leg pretty well. The awareness is building up relatively quickly. Yes, I could have swept him here, but again, that's not the point. So I just did enough resistance to make him understand that his base is kind of compromised because his knees are a bit close together. So again, that's something that we can work with separately. That's not a part of this game. So that's kind of like one thing about designing games, especially for beginners, is that it's very tempting to add more stuff to the game that we see that are quote unquote problems or troubleshooting issues such as balance, base, and how to do a crossface and those kind of details. That seems like a natural part of it, but if it's not part of the original objective of the class or the session, I think it will just get a little bit confusing. At this point, we're just debriefing as to why getting chest to chest seems a little difficult for him, and why I seem to kind of just melt into it. So right now, actually we're playing a different game right now. I'm sorry. We are okay to go to chest, and there is a terminal point. If somebody gets a chest to chest mount or whatever, we reset. So, but we start off with the passer's knee already clearing the bottom knee, like so, right? Joey was able to get past the bottom knee, and he should be able to complete the chest to chest from there. Especially like at this point, like I'm not really defending it because I want him to win the game really with just a reduced amount of resistance. That hip switch to knee cut was beautiful. That's good. There might be some missing details such as like getting underhooks, but again, it's irrelevant. The goal of the game is just to pass and get a chest to chest, and he was able to do that. So we switch positions. Again, we kind of do the same thing. I pass his bottom leg, and I just want to show him very slowly here in terms of like why when your foot and your knee and now your hips are completely past, it will be really, really difficult to stop the person from completing a guard pass on you. So again, I didn't pin so that we can continue going because I saw that that might be a bit too difficult, and that hip switch guard pass might be too difficult for him to defend. So we progress a little back in terms of positioning, and we finish the pin, and we switch again between top and bottom. Again, you can observe that when Joey likes to do the hip switch pass, there is just some details that he misses. That's why he gets swept. And that's totally fine. The goal is not to fix everything in one session. So we can work on that separately. In the future, he can ask his other coaches or figure this out on his own. But again, the objective right now is clearing and understanding distance management from the sole of the feet to the ankle, to the knee, to the hip line before you rush and get hip control or cross-face control. So again, we're progressively, I'm progressively giving him more advantageous position. Like in this case, chest to chest, he can get a chest to chest already and try to get past that, so he can have more sensitivity as to not worry about the upper body too much if he already has chest to chest, and be more sensitive in what's going on with his feet without letting go of control of the upper body. So again, at this point, we are pretty much done from a games perspective, because I can see that he's gassing out a bit, and that's a good sign to kind of slow things down when coordination is starting to wane. As he gets better with this, we're going to progressively make the game a lot more difficult, a lot more intense, and we can probably inject counterattacks from guard, for example, or sweeps down the road. So I hope you like this video in terms of my approach and my way of thinking and how I develop games. I usually don't think of what games do I want to play right away, but instead I usually watch a normal video, like a guard pass video, for example, from other creators, and reverse engineer that video to figure out the most common sticking points for the person regardless of level, and kind of build games from there and see what works and what doesn't work. And you can plan all you want, but at the end of the day, you really have to see what the room is doing, what the students are doing, and what your partner is doing. If it's too easy, you adjust it accordingly. If it's too difficult, you scale it down. And I think if you are still trying to figure this CLA thing out, try to work with a smaller group first with your friends and go from there. I hope you like this video.